Hi, I'm Rachel Dworkin at the Chemung County Historical Society, and I am here today speaking with
Christa Heyward. I am the Executive Director of the Elmira Center for Cultural Advancement.
and
Mario Madero, founder of Elmira Center for Cultural Advancement and the art director.
okay. Can you tell us a little bit about this center that you have and how it got started?
Yeah, Mario, I'm going to let you jump into your baby.
Okay, so it's been kind of a idea germinating in my mind for 15 years now. And I've been collecting art for a long time. I've been involved with the arts for a long time, and I've always kept in touch with Elmira. I grew up in Elmira, grew up in Pine City.
Mario and I went to elementary school together.
So it's Pine City. I just kind of saw that there was a need for kind of a boost in Elmira arts-wise and culturally. I've just kind of always, keep seeing Elmira get beat up in the media over the past 15, 20 years. And it's a narrative that I think is a little bit tired. And I thought there was a need to kind of address that. And I thought that starting a nonprofit focused on the arts and culture from a different angle geared towards people of color, the Black youth in Elmira, to kind of more hone in on that. I thought there was an avenue to kind of take there. And talking with Christa, she was one of the first people I kind of brought the idea to, and I had her on my board. So we've kind of over the last year or so been really working through this, and it's kind of maturing into a real tangible nonprofit now that people can access. And the goal is to bring more arts, bring more opportunity to Elmira and to a lot of the youth of Elmira, but not just limited to the youth. It's for everybody. But that's where we'll start. And ideally bring, like I said, bring a lot more arts and culture and highlight what we already have, and promote the positives of the Elmira area.
Okay, so what kind of projects have you guys been working on since you started up?
So I've been handling most of the project development in the last year. And we have a couple of big projects that we're working on. We would like to develop a map of the East Side, an interactive map of the East Side through an app service that we're working on. And then our ultimate goal is to kind of be the go-to center for arts and culture connected to the African diaspora in Elmira. Initially I had been a part of ECA as a board member with Mario a couple of years ago, but then at the end of 2019, I started working with T.C. Owens at the Finger Lakes Arts Council, or the Arts Council of the Southern Finger Lakes, doing these interviews of members of the Black community who had been here for a really long time. And one of the underlying themes that seemed to come out of those interviews was this sense of community and culture that existed in Elmira in the 40s, 50s, and 60s that really took a devastating hit after the flood, and with the loss of the neighborhood house. So the idea was to kind of use our organization to generate that sense of community. And the way that we want to do that is through programming. So like Mario said, we'd like to bring in artists to work with members of the community, particularly youth, so that they can develop a means of having a creative outlet in the community. We would like to expose people to art that they've not seen before. So I always tell people this, but I learned to play Brazilian martial art capoeira, which is a blend of martial art and physical movement, singing, and African history. And I don't think that there are too many people in Elmira who have ever even heard of capoeira, except maybe in like some cult movie references. And I want to see the exposure that we bring, that we offer increase in this area. And I think that when I was looking around at what makes Elmira special compared to some of our neighboring communities, the arts and culture really stood out to me as that place where we could differentiate ourselves.
So where do you envision the center in 5 years in terms of, do you have a place right now? How are you handling things? How will you handle things going forward? What are your ultimate goals?
Yeah, so we have a couple buildings around Elmira in mind that we'd like to have a physical space in. Obviously, with the pandemic, it's been actually nice for us to kind of grow our organization organically so that we don't feel pressured to do some events and maybe launch before we had kind of fully laid out our strategy. But we've actually taken the time to create what's called a vivid vision of where we see ourselves in the next 3 years. And so we would like to have a space that houses a traveling artist, a visiting artist, someone who comes to the community from outside, displays their particular style of artwork, and engages our community. We would like to have a space that's open for performance space, which could be used for theater space, dancing space, drumming class, capoeira class. We'd like to have a maker space in which we create studios for people to develop projects in the physical arts, the digital arts, ceramics, just a whole list of different types of art modalities, and then bringing in people in our community who have experience in this particular art genre, in a particular art genre, and people from outside the community. Eventually, we kind of like to be that after school space that the neighborhood house was for community members, maybe not with pool and basketball, but with calligraphy and drawing.
Okay.
And part of, so in the 5-year vision, I think I see ourselves starting off as kind of like a makeshift entity where we're kind of adapting to our growth, and we are searching for a few buildings like Christa had mentioned, and we have some ideas. In the meantime, I am looking for some other space that we might be used temporarily to house a few art collections. I have access to other people's art collections that I can bring to Elmira. So in the near future, I'd like to start with doing that. And so that would be on the immediate scale, but within 5-10 years, I envision having our own structure where we have a real museum to go along with the workspace ideas that Christa had touched on.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just going to say that it's multifaceted for sure, and it'll grow from there. I mean, what I've already learned in this last year, there's going to be things we're doing in 5 years I'm not even thinking about right now. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, and I think that an essential piece of where we grow in the next 5 years is our ability to collaborate with sister organizations in the area. There are a number of organizations. I already mentioned the Arts Council of the Southern Finger Lakes, John Jones, EOP, the Community Arts Program, the Historical Society. We know that in order to, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. In order to do some of the things that we want to do, I forgot to mention the Arnett Museum. We want to partner with these organizations. We think that, the best way to bring some of our ideas to fruition is to utilize our network.
Okay, so on that note, how can the people watching this video get involved if they would like to do so?
So I think the first thing to do is to go to Facebook and like our Facebook page. We have a special, I don't want to say event, but we have special programming on our Facebook page this month where I'm posting something every single day related to arts and culture. So I want to make sure that people come back and check us out regularly. You can directly connect with us through the Facebook page. And we also have a website, which is ecany.org.
Okay. I remember you were telling me about how you were collecting stories from people about their arts experiences. Is that something that you're still doing? Is that something that you would still like participants for?
I'm going to be starting. I'm going to start we'll start off with every other week artist discussion I'm going to start hosting. So I think this next week we'll have our first one up, and we want to build off of that. And it's going to be local artists that I'll talk with, but there's also a lot of international artists I'm going to be talking with and highlighting, just kind of pulling out my Rolodex of people I've met along the way and putting them in.
I think to pull on that, if you are a local artist in the community, we are connecting with a lot of African American artists. We featured Alsace Blanford with the Historical Society, but we want contemporary artists as well. So if you are doing something in the community at Elmira, you want to share your art with us. I recently spoke with someone who was a former corrections officer who has expertise in calligraphy and was professionally trained in New York City. And so we're going to be featuring some of his calligraphy pieces on our website as well. Reach out to us and we will share your talents.
And that is all sorts of art too, right? You're not just talking about painting and art, you're also talking about like music and dance and theater, so that anyone who fit any of those categories. Okay.
Exactly.
Is there anything else you guys think we should be talking about to push your center?
Keep checking us out and feel free to contact us. Anything's possible. And we'd like to help you either realize your dreams, turn you on to new things. And
I was going to say one other thing is that we are trying to highlight artists who have kind of reached a professional level and are from Elmira. You will see on our Facebook page recently, Broadway dancer Ariane Cadell. We're also featuring Shakespeare director at the Oregon Shakespeare Theater, Danya Washington. So I want to, if you know somebody who has come out of Elmira and is doing work professionally as an artist, have them reach out to us. We'd love to do an interview.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for talking with us.
Thank you, Rachel. We appreciate
Thank you for having us.